Hey folks, I'm glad you're here. My name is Chris, and this is the Sons of Sever YouTube channel where there's no such thing as bad weather, only bad gear. Today, my brother Eric and I are going to be talking about a shoe that some might not consider a barefoot shoe. That is the Altra Escalante for the newest Escalante. We got this thing back in the summer. We finally put over 200 miles each on this thing, so we feel ready to review it. But some people are going to think it's not a barefoot shoe because of the stack height. I believe it's 24 millimeters overall, but in our opinion, it is zero drop. It has a very nice anatomical shape that I'll talk about in my likes. And so for us, the stack height doesn't mean it's not a barefoot shoe. That just means it's a barefoot shoe that is meant for something specific. So that is okay with us. As always, we're going to talk about our likes and our dislikes of the shoe in order to give our final opinions on it and whether we would recommend it or not. If we don't answer a question that you had about this shoe, then make sure to sound off in the comment section and we will get back to you on that question. But for now, I'm going to pass things over to Eric to get us into our likes of the Escalante 4.
All right, when it comes to my likes of the Altra Escalante 4, it is extremely comfortable. It might even be a little too comfortable coming from a couple of guys who are really into barefoot shoes and being able to feel the ground. We'll talk about that, but the things that make this comfortable, the first one is that nice roomy toe box that it has. Now, I know a lot of people have said like Altra has started to kind of narrow out their toe boxes. I don't find that to be the case with this one. It's got plenty of room for my feet. I think something that helps that is the material of the upper. They just say that it's an engineered knit upper, so I don't know exactly what the material is, but it's very pliable. It really just molds to your foot without hindering it at all and continues to let your feet splay. So combined with that toe box, it's very comfortable there. It's also comfortable back in the heel. I've never had any problems with blisters or rubbing with this shoe. The way that the collar is padded and the way that they've made this heel, it stays nice and snug, and I haven't had any issues with it there. And then there is the stack height. So it's 24 millimeters. That's quite a lot, which is why I wouldn't really call this a barefoot shoe. This is definitely more of just like a minimalist shoe or an anatomically correct shoe. But with all that padding underneath your foot, it really just feels like you're walking on little pillows. And that's very purpose driven. Like with Chris and I, we're taking these things on longer distance runs, relatively half marathons and things like that. And these things keep your feet comfortable for that entire distance because of all that foam that's underneath there. They're also super lightweight. They're only 8.2 ounces. So that's pretty impressive that they've got all this foam underneath your foot, yet they were able to make it super lightweight. Now, I will probably get into that with my dislikes because of the way that they did it. There's a hint there for you, but they really don't feel like there's much on your feet and they provide a ton of comfort, which is cool. And then one last note, they are advertised as zero drop. So for people who are used to that kind of a thing and are looking to have a natural posture, then that's another area where this shoe is very comfortable. And then they are more durable than I thought that they were going to be. Altra is a bit of a controversial brand at this point because they were bought out by a big corporation and everybody knew that the quality was going to tank on them a little bit, but I haven't found that to be the case with this shoe. After 200 miles, it still looks really good. I haven't found any spots on the upper that are failing, and the only spot that I can really see down here, this outside piece where the tread has completely worn away, and that's the first spot of contact for my foot, so it's no surprise after 200 miles that that has flattened out. But I thought that these would look much more beaten up at this point, and they just aren't. They're holding up really well. So overall, very few complaints with what the Altra Escalante has brought to the table. We've enjoyed running those 200 plus miles in them, and it looks like we're going to continue doing so just because of the state that they're still in.
Getting into my likes of the Altra Escalante 4, the first thing that I want to mention is the fantastic shape and toe box of this shoe. I think Altra in general does a really good job with keeping their shoes anatomically shaped, and their toe box, in my opinion, is up there with the Splay and BeLenka toe boxes. Mix that with the nice, meshy, breathable upper. When I put my foot in this thing, it feels like it molds to my foot. I love the way it hugs my foot, makes it very comfortable for long distance runs. I also want to mention when it comes to that meshy, breathable upper is how nicely breathable it is, especially when I'm doing hot weather running. So we got these in the summer, started wearing them in the summer and training in them. I ended up using this for a half marathon. I'll talk about that in a second. But when I'm out running and my toes can spread out in this nice wide toe box and the airflow gets down into my toes, it keeps my feet from getting too hot as I'm running in the warmer weather. I find that the stack height on this is actually really nice. I know it's going to disqualify this as a barefoot shoe for some people, but 24 millimeters I feel like is really nice for anything that's over 10 miles for me. That tends to fend off foot fatigue for me. If I'm doing 8 miles or less, I'm going to reach for something that's more 10 to 15 millimeters. Wearing this for a half marathon was actually perfect. I felt like my feet did not get fatigued at all as we were running our Thanksgiving half marathon that we are going to be doing every year. I really like this stack height for those kinds of distances, at least for my feet. Maybe your feet are trained to the point where you can do more minimal stack heights and not see as many issues. For me, right now, where I'm at in my training, this is a perfect stack height for me running longer distances. The last thing that I want to mention is I actually think these things are relatively stylish. Pair these things with some athleisure wear, and you could totally go out on the town in these things. I definitely have. I've worn them out to movies or out shopping with my family. I do not shy away from wearing these things out and about. I do think they look pretty good overall. With our likes of the Escalante 4 out of the way, it's time for us to get into our dislikes, but first we want to mention some affiliates. We do have a link down in the description that will take you over to the Altra website if you're interested in taking a look at this shoe. We like Altra in general. We would love to see them experiment with some lighter stack heights, more towards like the 15 millimeter mark, but we understand the market that they are after and they're pretty successful in getting to it. So we like that they prioritize the zero drop and the anatomical shape. Those are great things, and I personally really like this stack height for the purpose that I'm using this shoe for. If you are thinking similarly to us, make sure to use that link down in the description to go and check out Altra. Something that would pair fantastic with your Altras is a great pair of toe socks. We love creepers. We have since we started the channel. They're one of the first socks that we reviewed, and they've held up fantastic against the other, I think, almost 20 companies that we have compared so far, and there's more popping up every day that we are going to compare. Creepers still stands on top for us. We love the way that they feel. They're very soft and comfortable. They do well in cold. They do well in hot. The materials are fantastic and the longevity is there. If you use the link down in the description to get over to the Creepers website, it will auto apply a 10% discount code to your order.
All right, so when it comes to my dislikes of this shoe, there's really only one thing that I can think of, and that is that I wish there was more rubber on the bottom. I alluded to that in the like section of this video for me, but this entire section right here is just exposed foam, which is why I thought that it was gonna fall apart a lot quicker than it has. So to their credit, this has proven to be pretty durable, but I still would take more rubber because that would extend the life of the shoe. To me, it kind of feels like some built-in obsolescence, and I'm not a fan of that ever.
Getting into my dislikes of the Escalante 4, I'm actually gonna have to dip into my likes. Some things that I like about this shoe aren't the most optimal in my opinion, and I wanna key in on those two things. The first thing is the stack height. I think that 24 millimeters is overkill, and I know I mentioned in the likes that that probably helped keep away foot fatigue, but I think that something that's closer to 18 millimeters probably would have also kept my feet away from foot fatigue. I'd love to see Altra experiment with something between 15 and 20 millimeters for a runner and see how that turns out. I would definitely be somebody who is super interested in that. I'd like just a little bit more minimalism in this shoe. The other like that I dislike that I want to mention is the ventilation of this thing. Fantastic for hot summer days when you're out running. Awful for race season, which is usually like September, October, November. Our race specifically on Thanksgiving at the end of November. The temperature at the beginning of the race was 24 degrees and it only warmed up to like 34 by the end. And the way that this thing shuttled cold air through my toes, it was very good at doing that, and my feet were numb probably till about mile 4 or 5. That's when I started to feel them thaw out, thanks to my Creepers toe socks, which helped to warm my feet up in that situation. I'd maybe like to see an Escalante that is more towards the middle, not so ventilated, not so closed off. Obviously, if that happens, then it would be a little bit hotter and sweatier in the summer, and it would obviously do a little bit better in the winter. Personally, I would prefer that balance over what this currently has.
All right, so when it comes to my final opinion of the Altra Escalante 4, would I recommend this for some barefoot runners? Only if you're okay with that massive stack height. The rest of the shoe for me checks all the boxes. I like the toe box that it has, the material that it's made out of, the comfort around the heel, the fact that it's zero drop, but there is a lot under your foot. I really do wish the Altra would introduce a more barefoot model, something around like 15 to even 18 millimeters. It would do a lot to let our feet build some strength instead of handicapping them the way that these have. But that being said, they provide a really comfortable run. I really don't have complaints with this thing because it's proving to be more durable than I thought that it was going to be. We've run 200 plus miles in these, and we're going to keep putting miles on them because they're just that good.
Getting into my final opinion on the Escalante 4, would I recommend this thing to somebody who is looking for a more anatomical, foot-friendly running shoe? Absolutely. I think this thing is fantastic. I am going to continue to use it. I need to prioritize some other shoes that we're testing out, obviously, but I'm going to hold on to this thing. One, it looks good. I could totally wear it out and about. Two, I actually really like this for work. It saves my feet at work so that after work, I've got enough feet left to go and do some running. I'm a delivery driver, so I'm on my feet all day. I average 20,000 steps every single day, and I found that when it was warmer out and I was wearing these, I still had some foot left to go for runs after work. So I'm going to keep using it in that capacity. I think I'm just going to keep running in it in general. I'm going to run it in it till it fails for sure because it's been rock solid as far as construction goes. So yeah, absolutely, I'd recommend that if you're looking for this specific niche of shoe, a running shoe that is zero drop, that has a nice wide toe box, maybe a little bit more stack height if your feet aren't quite trained up to the lower stack heights, then the Escalante 4 is going to do great for you. Folks, if you like this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. All those things really help the channel out. If you're interested in any of the products that we talked about in this video, there will be links to them down in the description. If we have discount codes for any of those companies, they will be featured with the links. If you want to get more content from us, there are 3 different places you can get it. The first one is Patreon, where for $1 a month, you can get exclusive behind-the-scenes content we don't post anywhere else. If you want to be most up to date with what we are working on, make sure to follow us on Instagram, where we are constantly posting unboxing videos. Go follow us on Strava if you're interested in seeing mini reviews in real time of the products we're using and what we're using them for. Strava allows you to track and post about your different activities. We track and post about our runs, trail runs, hikes, paddleboarding, and weightlifting, and we do little mini reviews on the products we're using during those activities. Go follow us there, and we will follow you back. We appreciate your view, and as always, we will catch you in the mountains.